Ladies and gentlemen, tonight we delve into a story that has shaped the modern world. It is a story of power, of ambition, and of a man who rose from nothing to become one of the most feared leaders on the planet. His story did not begin in a palace. Born on April 28, 1937, in a small village called Al-Awya near Tikrit, his early life was marked by hardship. His father disappeared before he was born. His mother raised him alone in a world that was unforgiving. His mother remarried. His stepfather was reportedly cruel, a formative period that forged deep resentment. At 10, he fled to Baghdad to live with his uncle, Khairal Talfa, a turning point that planted the seeds of his future. Talfa taught him to read and write, and to believe in Arab glory and suspicion of foreign powers. He was taught that strength mattered, that weakness was a sin, a belief that would drive him for life. From village hardship to political ambition, the boy was learning the ruthless rules of the game. Now, a chapter many have tried to bury, the whispers of early connections with the CIA. Now, let's look at a chapter many have tried to bury, deeply uncomfortable for the West. The alleged early connections between Saddam Hussein and the CIA are clouded in whispers. In the late 1950s, the Middle East was a chessboard. Washington could not tolerate a pro-Soviet Iraq. Did the CIA see a young, ambitious Saddam as a potential asset? The facts are murky. The whispers persist. In 1959, Saddam was part of a Ba'ath hit squad that attempted to assassinate Prime Minister Qassim. He was wounded and fled to Syria, then Cairo. Former US officials later claimed the CIA had prior knowledge and even contacts with plotters. Classic Cold War logic. The enemy of my enemy. Was Saddam a pawn in a larger game? Perhaps not created by the West, but enabled when convenient. This alleged early relationship helps explain later betrayals and the complex hypocrisy of international politics. Next, how Saddam climbed from a vice presidency to absolute power. Saddam's journey from fugitive to absolute ruler is a masterclass in political maneuvering. After exile, he returned in 1963 as the Ba'ath Party overthrew Qassim. He climbed the party ladder not by speeches, but by building loyal networks and controlling security. He created a state within a state. Spies, informants, enforcers loyal only to him. In 1968, the Ba'ath seized Iraq. Al-Bakr became president. Saddam became the real power behind the throne. He purged rivals, military, party, government, using fear as the primary weapon. On July 16, 1979, he forced al-Bakr to resign. Saddam became president. He staged televised purges, forced confessions, executions, a spectacle to terrify the nation. His image was everywhere: buildings, schools, public squares. The Ba'ath became his personal cult. Beneath the image, paranoia, surveillance, and the construction of a totalitarian state. Next, when Saddam turned outward and gambled on war. With absolute power secured, Saddam turned his gaze outward. He wanted Iraq to dominate the Arab world. In September 1980, he invaded Iran, driven by fear of Khomeini's revolution and desire for Khuzestan's oil. He expected a quick victory. He was catastrophically wrong. The war dragged on for 8 brutal years. The conflict became a war of attrition, trench warfare, and both sides used chemical weapons. Hundreds of thousands died. Families mourned across both nations. During the war, the West, including the US, largely supported Saddam, preferring him to Khomeini. By 1988, Iraq was shattered and burdened with massive debts, largely to Kuwait. Saddam accused Kuwait of slant drilling and of driving oil prices down, hurting Iraq's reconstruction. When diplomacy failed, on August 2, 1990, Iraqi armies crossed into Kuwait and annexed it as a province. The world reacted with outrage. The invasion threatened regional stability and the global oil supply. That miscalculation set Saddam on a collision course with a global superpower. The invasion of Kuwait triggered a massive international response. President George H.W. Bush assembled a coalition of 35 countries to liberate Kuwait. On January 17, 1991, Operation Desert Storm began. A relentless air campaign pummeled Iraqi targets. His air force was destroyed in days. Ground troops were isolated and demoralized. The ground war lasted only 100 hours. Coalition forces liberated Kuwait. The imagery was powerful. The toppling of Saddam's statue became a symbol of his humiliation. President Bush chose not to invade Iraq, fearing a power vacuum and regional chaos. Instead, Iraq faced crippling sanctions and no-fly zones. The country was isolated for a decade. Its people suffered. Humanitarian crises worsened as sanctions bit into daily life. After 9/11, the US focused on Iraq, accusing Saddam of WMDs and links to terrorism, claims the world would later question. On March 20, 2003, a US-led coalition invaded Iraq to disarm alleged WMDs, end terror support, and liberate the Iraqi people. After Baghdad fell, Saddam vanished into the shadows. He became the ace of spades in the coalition's most wanted deck, and a massive manhunt began. Acting on a tip, US forces searched a farmhouse near Tikrit. They found him hidden in a cramped bunker, disheveled, bearded, and disoriented. Held in US custody, later handed to Iraq, he faced trial for crimes against humanity. On November 5, 2006, he was found guilty and sentenced to death by hanging. On December 30, 2006, the sentence was carried out. The images and leaked footage sparked global debate. For victims, it was justice. For supporters, martyrdom. The end deepened the division in Iraq. Was this all about oil and betrayal? Let's examine that question next. The US-Saddam relationship is complex. Convenience, not friendship. In the 1980s, Saddam functioned as a counterweight to revolutionary Iran. Washington offered intelligence and diplomatic cover. At the core, control of the Middle East and its vast oil reserves. Securing Iraq's oil became a strategic interest as global energy concerns rose. But when Saddam invaded Kuwait, he moved overnight from asset to enemy. The policy shifted to contain and manage the threat, weaken him, but avoid collapse. Publicly, WMDs and terror. Privately, many argue, strategic control and oil were central motives. The struggle was about who set the rules in the region, an independent Arab strongman or American hegemony. Finally, we examine Saddam's pan-Arab dream and the contradictions of his legacy. Saddam saw himself as heir to great Arab leaders, a champion of pan-Arabism. He tapped into a longing for unity, shared language, history, and culture. On one hand, modernization, roads, schools, hospitals, literacy campaigns, and some women's rights. On the other, terror, mass killings, wars that bankrupted the country and murdered hundreds of thousands. His pursuit of power left Iraq divided and trapped in cycles of violence that continue today. His ghost still looms over the sands of Mesopotamia, a figure of bloody contradictions. Was he a dictator? Or to some, a hero who stood up to outside powers? History holds both answers, and many in between. If you found this video insightful, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more History Explainers. Tell us, what do you think? Sources summarized in the description below. Thank you for watching.